Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Bowling Springs Sports Journal podcast. We've been busy all season, or busy season, however you look at it, whichever sport you're in. But there's been a few things going on here lately, and we want to talk to Bowling Springs head football coach Matt Riddle. Coach, welcome in.
What's going on, James? How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Been busy all season. You got an award during the all season. You got named to the North-South All-Star team coach for the 2025 season. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's really cool. We talked before, about getting the Coach of the Year award, and I think, to me, there's any award you get special, but anytime you get recognized by your peers, the guys that you're actually competing against, working with, clinicking with, all those top things. Like when those guys, think enough of you to put you in those positions, I think it means a little bit more than just, being awarded because you won so many games or whatever it may be. So I think it's pretty cool. And then our staff is really, really phenomenal. Really excited to get to work with, the quality of guys and coaches that are on our staff have already been communicating, already getting some lists together and setting up meeting dates and all that kind of stuff. So wouldn't think with a game being in December you'd be doing all that stuff, but with us having to do our own jobs every day and promoting our own players and all that kind of stuff, you really it'll be here before we know it. So just really honored and really excited to be able to be a part of it.
Now that's what everybody don't realize. When you get named to one of these all-star games as a coach, you're not only having to take care of your team during the season and things of that nature, you're having to keep up with other schools and to see what players the Shrine Bowl's not taking and things of that nature, what players are going to be in your game, and figuring out building a team throughout your football season as well, right?
Yeah, just kind of an overview. We're going to meet we have our winter clinic for football the 21st and 22nd of this month. So that'll be our first sit down, in person. We've already met a couple times just through some social media and then through, like some Google Meets and stuff like that, just trying to get everybody on the same page. And obviously the All-Star game works a little bit different. You can only do certain things. You can only be in certain personnel groups, only be in certain defenses. So, and that's just for the safety of the kids. You've got literally 4 days really to prepare guys you've never coached before. So we'll do that. We've got some. The good thing is our state has been really proactive as far as what we call the Carolina Coaches Combine.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches get to nominate their players for that. The ones that get selected go and perform at these combines, and we'll get verified numbers on these guys. We'll get to watch them in person, move around in different drills, and they'll compete. So we use all that information. They've been using it for the last 2 years for North-South and for the Shrine Bowl. So, we've already got lists of those kids. And obviously, I've been personally just reaching out to guys in the upstate that I know. Hey, if you've got a kid that you think is going to be either a Shrine Bowl or North-South kid, go ahead and get those names into us. Let us get them on our radar. Let us start evaluating their junior films, all those type things. And then at the same time, we're trying to get, 10, 12 kids signed from Bowling Springs to their colleges right now. So, it's a lot, but man, that's what we do this job for. That's what we love doing. I've got a great staff that's helped me throughout the year with recruiting and with our game planning and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just me doing it, but, I think there's a lot more that goes into it than maybe sometimes people realize, and how in-depth and how thorough we try to be, one, to get the right kids, get the kids that deserve, to be in these games, but then also, making sure that you're not taking away from the time of developing your own program and getting those guys ready for, the next part of our off season.
Well, that's what I was going to get to next was just talk about, because if anybody follows social media, they'll see right now you're preparing for 7-on-7s and things of that nature. You got spring football, then you have what I basically can now call summer football before you get into the real fall football. Just talk about how your schedule is this time of year with so much going on.
I think a lot of it, I'm lucky enough. I've been a head coach a few years now, so you kind of have an idea of what needs to be done by when. I think just getting our calendars done for the whole rest of the year. Next week, our kids they already have our February and March calendars, but then they'll get April through November next week. So, I mean, our whole year is essentially planned out in January. And I got a text message yesterday from Mark Morris at Carolina Ford. He's like, dude, get your schedule fixed so you can quit blowing up my email with these messages about needing games and competitions and all that kind of stuff. But I think that the biggest thing is now we do everything so much ahead of time to communicate well, make sure our parents and kids know the vacation times, all that kind of stuff. But, it's a year-round thing now, and there's no dead period. Like there is technically, as far as what you're allowed to do, but the work and the time you spend with your kids, there's not a dead period. I told our kids at the banquet a couple of weeks ago, there's essentially 4 weeks out of the year now that we're not with our kids. We have them every day in class, in our football class. And, during spring break, there's 1 week. July 4th is obviously 1 week. A couple of days at Thanksgiving if you're not, still playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 weeks at Christmas. And that's it. So out of the weeks out of the year, there's only 4 weeks that we're not really, working on something with our kids. So it's just constant, structure, constant planning. We got March open season now, so we can practice with our kids in a helmet after school. Or in class. Obviously, we can practice in class anytime with it being during the school day. But our open period is March, so we'll have 4 days a week plus one day on the weekend where we're getting with our guys and competing. We go into April's a closed period again, but we're obviously in class. When May rolls around, we're in spring football. So once you get done in May, June, July, August. It's full tilt, 4 and 5 days a week, college camps, practice, 7-on-7s, all those different things are going on. So, it never stops. And that's okay. That's why you have to have a great staff to be able to do everything. But, it's just a lot. And I think, right now we're in the middle, December to January is really the crunch time of your seniors being able to get into, college, get those guys recruited. And that's kind of been our main focus, the last 2 months is making sure those guys are being taken care of, that they're getting all the attention they need, and we're getting everything taken care of to get, those guys that have been with us for 4 years where they need to get to.
Let's get a quick word in from our sponsor, Wings, Etc. Bowling Springs.
Hey, do you want weekly specials on award-winning wings? Of course you do. And they're here at Wings Etc. Mondays is bone-in and boneless wings, and Thursdays is boneless wings, special pricing, Mondays and Thursdays, Wings Etc. Well, go.
And if you haven't taken advantage of those deals at Wings Etc., you're missing out because it's some of the best deals in Spartanburg County. It's best deals in the area. I go there every Tuesday or every Monday and Thursday to get wings, boneless, traditional. Great day. Go out and see them. Tell them we sent you. I was going to say that's a big thing as well. I see on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now that where a lot of your guys are getting offers and they're starting to have to make that decision on where they're going to be going. And we just had one of the football signing days. Feels like 37 of them a year, but I saw where a bunch of you guys are getting offers. And talk about how some of this, everybody talks about the NIL now. Does that cause a delay in some of the offers that come through to the kids?
I'm sure it does. I think the bigger name kids, the top 300 prospects, all that type of stuff. I think there's obviously, they're probably weighing options on what they're going to get paid depending on where they end up going. We haven't really had to deal with any of that yet here. I think the biggest thing for us is just the transfer portal, and that's what, to me, is really delaying some of our kids of knowing in December, where they're going to sign at. I think we've had 3 kids that have already committed. We haven't had our signing day yet. They did their letter of intent and all that stuff Wednesday. But I just think that the transfer portal, so many of these colleges are taking verified college film over verified high school film, and they cut the rosters of those schools this year. So some of those guys are trickling down to different schools, which then kicks other kids down to other schools, and then even your D2s are looking at the transfer portal right now. So, I think we're going to end up having probably 10 kids sign, maybe more than that. But it's just taking longer, than what it typically would 3 or 4 years ago. That's kind of been my message to the parents and the kids. Don't get weary, don't get frustrated. Really, if you're not a guy that's graduating in December and enrolling early, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? They have the desire, I want to sign on National Signing Day, but it's really not a life or death situation because they're not going to be there till the summer anyway. So, our thing is go through these financial aid packages, make sure our kids know exactly what is, forgivable money of what they're going to owe, what all is covered. That type of deal to where we're setting them up for the best situation when they graduate. It's possible. And that's, I think our staff's done a really good job of that. Our parents have done a good job of communicating with us. And, that's kind of where we're at right now.
That's so cool that y'all go through all that with, and I know y'all not the only ones, but that a lot of the times, I think back in the old days, it was, well, now that they don't play football for me, that's on them to find what they're going to do. And to hear coaches still working for their guys is really, to me, it's such a high character of what type of coaches y'all are and people you are in general.
We've had a lot of coaches taking guys on official visits the last 2 or 3 weeks. Well, to me, and this is what our staff believes, those kids do so much for us, man. For 4 years, like we said, we're talking about 4 weeks out of the whole year they're not with us. To me, the least we can do is make sure they finish up the right way, make sure we get them in the best situation possible. And then once they get there, it's up to them. We're out of the picture then. But we have a lot of guys that come back. Storm Duck came back a couple weeks ago and worked out. Here, me and him got to talk quite a bit about just college and pro, and there's been other guys that come through. Dylan Thompson will be in here next week, and it's just cool for me, whether it was guys that I coached that are from here or even the guys I've coached other places that come through. We're a big relationship built staff, and we take pride in building relationships with our kids, and we tell them once you're one of ours, you're always one of ours. So I don't think it's something where you graduate and you're done. I mean, this is going to be something hopefully that we're still helping these kids and still being a part of their lives 15, 20, 30 years from now.
Coach, I've been keeping up with the basketball program, and you got a few of your guys that are playing there, Jeremiah Favorite, Jalen Kelly. But the 2 I really want to talk about is Jameer Wright and Dennis Glenn Jr. Those 2 guys, you see them on the football field, and they're just such brute strength of how they play football. They're amazing on the basketball court. Yeah,
I mean, I've been first of all, I'm going to say this, I'm a big fan of our basketball coach too. I think Coach Martin gets it. He's hard-nosed, tough, demands, expectations to be met, which I love because it's the same way we are in football. He crushes them and challenges them in the weight room. So, a lot of the transfer that you're seeing from football to basketball is because his beliefs align with our strength program and it aligns with, how we treat our players. But it's been great for me seeing, and I'm a big, supporter and encourager of our kids to play everything they can. I think, Tavion Hall is another kid who's a basketball guy, done a great job. We got a bunch of younger kids that are on the JV team that are playing, and ninth grade team that are playing basketball as well. But Jameer to me is he's just the ultimate competitor. He's a phenomenal kid, man. He's always smiling, always happy, high energy. Kid never has a bad day. And as a coach, man, we have bad days sometimes, and we need a pick me up. And I've missed him in our football lifting now. He's moved on. He's lifting in fourth block with basketball, so I don't get to see him every day. But just been a program guy since we got here. And I think, he didn't play basketball, I believe his junior year, or maybe it's a sophomore year. And need to get him back out there, and he's done a phenomenal job. And then Dennis, I think people, look at him and, as a sophomore, he's 6'3", 270 pounds. He's already got, 4 or 5 Power 4 offers. So I think they just think, big giant, doesn't have great feet, can't move. And then you watch him, he's like, wow, that kid has great feet. And he's very mobile and runs well, has good touch. With basketball, it's not just can you be physical and bang, but can you catch the basketball? Can you handle it? Can you pass it? Can you dribble? All those different things. He's a phenomenal athlete. So for us, I love it. I love seeing our guys play other sports. They'll all be doing something in the spring as well. So it's been good seeing our basketball team. They're ranked in the top 10 for most part of the season. Went to the wire with number 2 and number 3 teams in the state. I told Coach Martin, I don't, 2 years ago, I kept getting these phone calls, Coach, you're right there, Coach, you're right there. And you appreciate it, but then you get tired of having that conversation too. You know what I mean? So I tried not to have that conversation with him very much, but also want to be super supportive and be like, man, I see the growth. I see how things are changing. You just want to be positive with him. But, his standards are the same as ours. He expects to win every night. If he doesn't, then it's an issue, and that's the way it should be.
You had 2 guys that were competed in the North-South game this past year. And I like to talk to coaches because I know most of you coaches always go down there to see you players play in these all-star games. Have you talked to Lincoln Husky and Kyle Patterson about their experience at the North-South game, and even use it in your own mind as you prepare to go into that coaching of what they enjoyed, what they what if there was something they didn't like about the whole week, and how you can prepare for when you're leading the program down there, or when you're coaching in the program down there?
Yeah, I think we've spoken a lot. I'll say this: I was around it a lot when I was at North Myrtle. It was right there, so I'd go and watch practice a lot. I'd go watch the weeks unfold. One of the media guys that was very involved, Ian Guerin, me and him talked a lot about exactly what the kids were doing, what their schedule was.
Oh, Ian, that guy, huh?
Yeah, he's my guy. He took care of me pretty good. But no, I think in a lot of ways it's a really fun week for the kids. Obviously, you got multiple practices a day, but they do a lot. The kids get fed really well. They get their own hotel rooms. It's kind of a cool experience for them. They go out and serve. They're buying Christmas presents for kids that are underprivileged. They're getting put in those situations. The power line demonstrations, what those guys do every day. Just kind of seeing the whole support group there and really making those kids feel like they are special. I think it's great. Obviously being at the beach is cool, so I think the people that are in charge of the game do a great job of making sure the kids have a fun week. I told our staff, our offensive staff, I said, look, man, I played in the state championship game. It did not go the way I wanted to. And this to me, I'm treating this like a state championship. I'm going to come down. we're going to work. We're going to create a mentality in 4 days of what we want our kids to play like, what we want them to represent, and make it a fun experience for them. But I'm treating it like this is our Super Bowl. So I'm excited to be able to work with some of the guys on staff. Mike Lancaster is a phenomenal football coach, great human being. Been able to learn from him a lot, just some O-line play, and then just, what his beliefs are. John Boggs, been around the game forever, great guy. Harry Cabness, he's a head coach at Chapman, does a great job, great guy. Corey Fountain just won a state championship. He's on our staff. And there's some other guys. Bobby Collins, known Bobby for a while. He's a great guy, funny guy, high energy guy. So I mean, looking at our staff, man, there's so many guys that I've learned from, have competed against, competed with, and they're all just great guys. And I think that just like your team, like you want to compete with great kids. When you have discipline issues, when you have, me guys, even when you're successful, sometimes it's hard to enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to just being around, really good kids, which is a thing we look at. It's a character thing. We want great kids when we're down there as well. Which I think is a big reason. On top of the success they had and the work they have. But Kyle and Lincoln are two great kids, man. Just great leaders, humble, constant work ethic. So they fit the mold of what you want to coach down there. And unfortunately, Kyle got hurt and didn't get to play in the game during the week. But I thought Lincoln played phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Told Coach Howell, the offensive coordinator, I said, dude, you might have had 40 points if he played every single snap. They rotated drives, with the quarterbacks, which is fine. They should. But I thought he was very dominant when he was out there, and I was really happy that was how he ended his, his high school career, with just being very dominant, playing really well, and obviously winning that All-Star game.
I was going to say he connected a few times on touchdown passes to a guy from just down the road at Spartanburg as well.
I felt like it was a Region 2 5A All-Star game because those two guys scored, I think, almost all the touchdowns. I think the running back from Dutch Fork scored, I think, later in the game. And then a linebacker from Gaffney had a big interception, ran it back. I mean, it was a lot of local guys had a lot of success. So it was kind of cool seeing. One, it was cool getting to cheer for those guys and not figuring out how you got to stop them every week. But
I was going to say that Maurice Anderson from Dutch Fork, he's going to your alma mater up at Limestone. I said it must have been nice that you got to cheer for him instead of going, Lord God, there he goes again.
Yeah, sometimes you've seen enough of these guys already. You really don't want to watch them anymore. But watching Root, he had a really good game at linebacker for him. Kid that played at Gaffney.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting. I think it's cool for our kids. A lot of our kids in the Spartanburg area know each other anyway. They've either played, against each other growing up or with each other on these travel teams and whatnot. So they already have relationships, beforehand. So, it's just cool for them being celebrated and for them getting to go and showcase themselves in front of, a big crowd and at an all-star game. Just knowing our kids as well as I do, you always want them to have good experiences. And I think, even Kyle, even not getting to play, I think Kyle would tell you he had a great experience while he was there. And then, just seeing them be happy and enjoy that, it makes for a lot that makes you feel really good about things.
I've got one. I'm not going to keep you all day. I got one more question for you. You got yourself, who like more of a spread guy, Harry Cabinets, who's more of a spread guy, and then you got Corey Fountain. Whose offense are y'all running?
Well, Corey's got the ring, so if Corey decides who's going to call the offense, I guess. But no, I think right now I'm obviously slotted to be on the offensive side, and I believe Corey and Cab are going to be on the defensive side. So, and two, we still got to get the rules and exactly what you can do. I think there's times you can use a tight end, times you can't. There's some things like that we really got to look at. Once I get that, I'll be able to decide, a little bit more exactly what, we're going to be. But I think it's really cool that we've got the level of coaches we have there to be able to throw ideas off of and know you're going to get a lot in return. So I'm looking forward to bettering myself that week as well, and over this process of being around these guys and just kind of pick their brains and see, how they do things and how they view things. I think anytime you sit down in a room with 4 or 5 coaches, you're going to get 4 or 5 different perspectives, depending on what you're talking about. So I'm just excited for my professional growth as well, and then hopefully I can hold my end of the deal as well, when we get into the nuts and bolts of this thing.
I was going to say, that's if I see you running the option next year, I know who you talked to a lot north-south.
I'm a big option, and I never been an under center guy, but we were at North Myrtle. We were shotgun triple quite a bit. But I think it's tough, but I think more and more I believe you have to adjust to what you have personnel wise.
Yeah.
And when we were there the first 2 or 3 years, we had the guys to do that. We had a stock of running backs that were really good. So when we were in 2-back, that meant we got 2 of our better players on the field at the same time. We had quarterbacks that were mobile and could run, and then, by year, 3, 4, and 5, our quarterbacks were a little bit different. They were more pocket passers. They were more, RPO guys. So we had to alter a little bit of what we did too. So, I think you constantly have to evaluate, what you've got, unless you're just in a place where every year I'm going to have this, and this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So. I think that's where, as coaches, you either get lazy or you have to adapt if you want to keep winning at a high ratio. And I hope we're going to be one of those guys that always continue to adapt.
Coach, before we leave, you got a lot of stuff coming up in the summertime, and I know once the 7-on-7 and spring football hits, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to do a little old podcast, but tell everybody what you got coming up in the spring and then throughout the summer.
Well, first of all, we always got time to talk, man. I always make time for that. You know that. But just kind of our next little bit, like I said, March is our open season, so we'll start practicing after school. With anybody that's not in a spring sport, we'll do 2 days offense, 2 days defense. Our middle schools have already started lifting. They're lifting every Monday and Wednesday. We've got I just finished up our Remind app, which we put all of our kids in there so we communicate with them. We got 92 rising freshmen right now looking to come in next year. So don't know if that number stays at 92, but that's the most by far I've ever had since I've been here. So We're excited about that. I'm excited about our middle school kids getting involved. We've had about 45 in the weight room the last 2 weeks, Monday and Wednesday. And again, we got a ton of kids that are basketball guys still, a ton of kids that are running track here at the high school, even as middle school kids. And then obviously they have baseball going on there as well. So we won't have all those kids, but the ones that aren't had a good showing so far. April will just be lifting again. May also is our spring practice. We've got it slated right now to have 12 practices. And then we'll have our spring game the same week of graduation. Graduation's on a Tuesday. Our spring game will be that Thursday. That'll be just our high school kids. We can't have our middle school kids involved in that yet. Now,
is that going to be open to the fans and all to come?
Absolutely. And we'll get that out, all that information out as well a little bit later on. But looking forward to doing that. It's been good to us the last 2 years, being able to do that. Once we get, to the end of May, get into June, essentially we've got Monday through Thursday we work. Tuesday, Thursdays are our big competition days, whether it's a lineman challenge, whether it's going to a college doing something, hosting or attending a 7-on-7. We got those planned all through June. We're hosting one here. I believe it's June the 17th. I'd have to look at it. I think it's a Tuesday night. I got to double check that. But we'll have just right now, just off the top, Dorman will be here. Northwestern will be here. Christchurch, York County, Gray Collegiate, Union County. We're looking to have at least one more team, and if we get to 12, that'll be fine. We got plenty of room to do it. But we had a great, and that was a great session last year. A lot of competition. Northwestern ended up winning it, but it was a great night. The 19th, we're going to USC for a 7-on-7. And then the very last Thursday of June, Burns has their big 7-on-7. So there'll be teams for Charlotte, all over South Carolina that we'll get to compete with. July, we're going to do a FCA week the week after July 4th here. It'll be Monday through Thursday, different churches being involved, feeding the kids extra, getting some extra church time in with those guys, some competitions, just having fun, doing some things that we really believe in as a staff, which is, Jesus Christ and what he's done for us. We try to be as vocal with that as we can. We're not pressuring anybody, but it's just a big part of my life. It's a big part of our coaches' life. So having those local churches come out and invest in our kids, I think is going to be great. In the last 2 weeks, man, we'll get back to just lifting really hard, getting everybody healthy. And then, we get into August. We're scrimmaging Chapin. We're scrimmaging Woodruff. And then we're still looking to solidify one more person to play us in our jamboree. It'll be the August the 15th. And then week 0 is the next week, man. So, it's going to be here soon.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking your time today. I know everybody gets interested in what's going on with the football program, and one big thing we're going to see a lot of difference is we won't see number 16 better at quarterback. So we'll tackle a little bit more of that as the season goes along. But I appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, man. I'm going to do one thing, give a shout-out to our wrestling team. They will be competing tomorrow night, Saturday night, at Dreher High School for a state championship. They won the upper state championship Wednesday night, and, man, we're so pumped, excited for Coach Thomas and all those guys. We got some football guys that are on the team, and there's just a lot of great kids that I get to be around in the weight room that are, just wrestling guys and girls. And, that program has really grown as well. So just super excited for those guys, pulling for those guys. I can't wait to get down there to Dreher tomorrow night and watch those guys compete and bring home a state championship.
That's right. And go Dogs.
Always go Dogs.
And also thank you to our sponsor, Wings Etc. of Boiling Springs.
Hey, do you want weekly specials on award-winning wings? Of course you do. And they're here at Wings Etc. Mondays is bone-in and boneless wings, and Thursdays is boneless wings, special pricing, Mondays and Thursdays, Wings Etc. Well, go.
Wings Etc. Always great deals Mondays and Thursdays. Every day of the week, there's always something good there. Great lunch specials. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. Say you heard it from here to here on the Bowling Springs Sports Journal podcast or the Bowling Springs Sports Journal website. Go check us out. Thank you all again for tuning in, and thank you for our guests this week.